Hello there, my name's Katie, I'm 30 years old, and today is the anniversary of me getting out of a very toxic relationship. Considering this special occasion, I figured I would come on here and share my story with anyone willing to listen. So, a little about myself. I had a pretty normal childhood growing up. I loved playing outside, reading books and spending time with friends, but when I was 14, I started feeling really tired all the time. My joints ached and I often got strange rashes. My mom took me to the doctor, and after many tests, they told me I had lupus. It was scary because I didn't really understand what it meant at the time. Lupus is an autoimmune disease where my immune system attacks healthy tissue. Living with lupus wasn't easy. I had to take a lot of medications and go to the doctor often. Sometimes I had to stay home from school because I was too sick. I couldn't play sports like I used to, and I had to be careful not to get too tired or stressed. It was hard watching my friends do things I couldn't do anymore. But my family was very supportive. They helped me manage my illness and encouraged me to focus on things I could still enjoy, like reading and drawing. When I got to college, I was nervous about how I would manage my lupus on my own, but I was determined to make it work. I made sure to take my medications regularly and get enough rest. I also told my professors about my condition so they could understand if I needed extra help. And that's when I met David. David and I met during our sophomore year of college. It was at a friend's party and he caught my eye right away. He was charming and had a great sense of humor. We talked all night and I felt like we had an instant connection. After that night, we started spending a lot of time together. David was always so attentive and caring. He would bring me coffee when I was studying late and always made me laugh. We had a lot of fun together and he seemed to support my dreams and goals. David was also incredibly supportive and understanding of my health struggles. He would often accompany me to doctor's appointments, help me manage my medications, and always make sure I rested when I needed to. His care and empathy gave me a sense of security and reassurance that I had found someone who truly cared about my well-being. We dated for about 2 years before he proposed. I was so happy and thought I had found the perfect partner. We got married a few months after graduation, and I believed we were going to have a wonderful life together. After David and I got married, he started changing. At first, it was little things that didn't seem like a big deal. He would make comments about my clothes, saying they weren't appropriate or that I should dress more like his friend's wife. I thought he was just trying to help, but it made me feel bad about myself. Then, when I wanted to go out with my friends for a girls' night, David got really angry. He said I should stay home with him instead and told me that married women shouldn't go out without their husbands. Feeling guilty, I stayed home even though I really wanted to go. Things got worse when it came to cooking. One evening, I was making dinner and David came into the kitchen. He looked at what I was making and said it wasn't good enough. He threw the food away and told me to make something else. I was so upset because I had worked hard on that meal, but he didn't seem to care about my feelings at all. I reached my breaking point with that, and a few days later, I confronted David about it. Can we talk? About what now? I just feel like you've been really mean to me lately. Mean? What are you talking about? You keep making comments about my clothes. You say they're not appropriate and that I should dress like your friend's wife. It hurts my feelings. Oh, come on, Emma. I'm just trying to help you look better. You should be thankful. Thankful? It doesn't feel like help. It feels like you're criticizing me all the time. You're overreacting. If you can't handle a little advice, that's your problem. It's not just the clothes. When I wanted to go out with my friends, you got so angry. You said married women shouldn't go out without their husbands. You yelled at me for wanting to do something so basic. You made me feel guilty for even wanting to see my friends. Because it's true. You're married now. Your place is with me, not out partying with your friends. But I miss them. I miss having a life outside this house. And I wasn't going to party with them. We were just going to have dinner at a fancy restaurant. It feels like I'm trapped here. Oh, please, you're being dramatic. You have everything you need here. Why can't you just be happy? I try to be happy, but it's hard when you treat me like this. Last night when I was cooking dinner, you said it wasn't good enough and you threw it away. I worked so hard on that meal, David. It was like you didn't care about my feelings at all. If it wasn't good enough, it wasn't good enough. I'm not going to eat something that doesn't taste right just to spare your feelings. Do you even hear yourself? It's not just the food. It's about how you make me feel. Like nothing I do is ever good enough for you. Well, maybe if you tried a little harder, things would be different. I do try. I try so hard to make you happy, but it feels like you don't appreciate anything I do. Maybe because you're always whining about how hard everything is instead of just doing it. I'm not whining. I'm trying to tell you how I feel, but you never listen. You always dismiss me like my feelings don't matter. Because you're always making a big deal out of nothing. You need to toughen up, Emma. Life isn't always going to be easy. I know life isn't easy, but I need you to be my partner, not my critic. I need you to support me, not tear me down. Support you? You're supposed to support me. That's what a wife does. I do support you, but it should go both ways. We should support each other. Well, maybe you should think about what you can do to make things better instead of complaining all the time. I just want us to be happy, David. I want to feel loved and appreciated. If you want that, then stop being so sensitive and start acting like a proper wife. A proper wife? What does that even mean to you? It means doing your job without making everything about your feelings. Just be better, Emma. I don't know how much longer I can take this, David. I need you to understand how much you're hurting me. Well, maybe you should think about how much you're hurting me with all this drama. I'm done talking about this. I can't keep feeling like this, David. Something has to change. Then you better figure out what you need to change, Emma, because I'm not the problem here. I felt even more confused and hurt. His words echoed in my mind, making me doubt myself. I wondered if I really was too sensitive, or if I should just try harder to please him. But deep down, I knew I couldn't keep ignoring how his behavior made me feel. I felt trapped in a cycle of trying to meet his expectations while losing sight of my own happiness. It was clear that David didn't see my side or understand my feelings. I felt lonely and unsure about what to do next. I knew I deserved to be treated with kindness and respect, but I didn't know how to make David see that. His dismissive attitude left me feeling small and powerless, wondering if there was any way to make things better or if I would always feel this way in my own marriage. David also started controlling our money. He gave me a small allowance and got mad if I spent too much. Once I bought a new dress for a special occasion and he yelled at me for wasting money. He made me return it, and I felt so embarrassed. David wasn't the same person I fell in love with. He became controlling, mean, and disrespectful. It was like he didn't care about me anymore. I realized that the kind, supportive person I thought I married was gone, and I didn't know how to get him back. David's attitude towards my health condition also shifted. He became impatient with my need for rest and would sometimes belittle my symptoms, saying I was exaggerating or being lazy. He started to question why I couldn't do certain things or why I needed to cancel plans due to flare-ups. It was as if he expected me to just push through my illness without understanding the toll it took on me physically and emotionally. When we discussed starting a family, I was hesitant because I knew pregnancy would pose serious risks due to my lupus. Lupus is an autoimmune disease, which means my immune system attacks my own body. During pregnancy, this could lead to serious problems like kidney damage, high blood pressure, and even harm to the baby. I told David about these risks many times, but he didn't seem to understand or care. David kept pressuring me to get pregnant. We really need to start thinking about having kids. I really don't think we should rush into starting a family. What do you mean? We've been married for a while now. It's time for us to have kids. I know, but you know my health condition. Pregnancy could be really risky for me. Oh, come on, Emma. Lots of women with health issues have babies all the time. You'll be fine. It's not that simple, David. Lupus can cause complications during pregnancy. I could end up seriously ill and the baby could be at risk too. Stop worrying so much. You're overthinking it. Doctors can handle whatever comes up. It's not just about the doctors. I'm scared, David. I don't want anything to happen to me or the baby. We'll take care of you. I'll take care of you. You'll see. Everything will be fine. I wish it were that easy to be sure. I need more time to think about this. We don't have time to waste, Emma. We need to start a family now. Can't we wait a little longer, just until I feel more ready? We've already waited too long. I want a family, Emma. I want us to have a baby. I want that too, but I need to be sure it's safe for both of us. Are you saying you don't trust me to take care of you? No, it's not that. I just needed to understand how serious this is for me. Fine, I'll talk to your doctor then. They'll tell you it's safe. It's not just about what the doctor says, it's about how I feel too. You're being unreasonable, Emma. We've talked about this enough. It's time to make a decision. I feel like you're not listening to me, David. This is a big decision. I need you to respect how I feel. I'm listening to you, but you need to stop being so scared all the time. It's not just fear. It's about my health and future. I need you to understand that. Fine, take your time, but don't take too long. We need to start a family soon. I'll try to think about it, but I need you to be patient with me, David. I'll try, but you need to understand how much I want this. I do understand. I just need time to be sure. Okay, but don't take forever. We can't wait that long. I know. I'll think about it. I promise. Eventually, I gave in because I felt like I had no choice. We tried for a whole year before I finally got pregnant. Every month that I didn't get pregnant, David would get really upset with me. He blamed me, saying I wasn't trying hard enough. I felt so much pressure to make him happy, but inside, I was scared and sad. I wanted to give him the family he wanted, but I also worried about my health and what would happen if things went wrong. When I found out I was pregnant, I was terrified. I knew this would be hard, but I hoped David would be supportive like he used to be. Instead, he became even more demanding. He expected me to keep up with all the household cooking and cleaning. Even though I was exhausted and in pain, he would say things like, "You're a woman, this is your job," and "Pregnant women do this all the time." My lupus flared up badly during the pregnancy. I was constantly tired. My joints ached and I had severe swelling. My doctor told me to stay in bed as much as possible to avoid complications. But David didn't care. He would come home from work and get angry if the house wasn't spotless or if dinner wasn't ready. He would say I was being lazy and that I needed to try harder. As my pregnancy progressed, my symptoms got worse. I was bedridden for most of the day. I could barely move without feeling exhausted. David grew angrier with me. He accused me of being lazy and using my illness as an excuse. "Other women manage just fine. Why can't you?" he would shout. His words hurt, and I felt more alone than ever. I felt useless and frustrated. Every day was a struggle to get through, and David's anger only made it harder. I needed his support, but all I got was criticism and blame. It was clear that he didn't care about me or our baby. He only cared about what he wanted. One day, I felt a sharp pain in my abdomen and started bleeding. I was rushed to the hospital where the doctor told me I was having a miscarriage. The doctor said my body couldn't handle the stress of the pregnancy because of my lupus. I was devastated. I felt like my world had fallen apart. I had tried so hard to make this work, despite my fears and my health issues. I blamed myself even though I knew it wasn't my fault. The pain of losing the baby was unbearable. David's reaction made everything worse. Instead of comforting me, he blamed me. Oh, you need to get yourself together. Sitting around here isn't going to help anything. Are you serious? I just lost our baby. I need time to grieve. Time to grieve? What good is that going to do? You need to be useful for once. Go back to work and do something productive. I can't believe you're saying this to me right now. I'm heartbroken. Maybe if you had taken better care of yourself, this wouldn't have happened. You failed as a woman. How can you say that to me? This isn't my fault. I did everything I could. Stop making excuses. Just get up and go to work. We can't afford for you to sit around feeling sorry for yourself. I can't believe you're being so cruel. I just lost our baby. Enough with the drama. It's time to move on and get back to reality. I don't think you understand how much pain I'm in right now. Maybe if you actually did something useful for once instead of moping around, you wouldn't feel so sorry for yourself. How can you be so heartless? I need your support, not your criticism. Support? What do you want me to do, Emma? I can't fix this for you. Just go to work and do your job. I thought you loved me. I thought you would be there for me. Love has nothing to do with it. This is about being responsible. I can't believe I married someone who could say these things to me. Well, maybe you should think about that while you're at work. I realized then that the man I married was gone. He had been replaced by someone who didn't care about me or my well-being. His words cut deep. I was already heartbroken, and his cruelty made it unbearable. After the miscarriage, I felt completely broken. David's cruel words kept echoing in my mind, and I knew I couldn't stay in that house any longer. I decided to go to Sarah's house, my mother-in-law. She had always been kind to me, and I hoped she would understand. With tears streaming down my face, I packed a small bag and left. Sarah, my mother-in-law, has always been like a second mom to me. She raised 3 boys, including David, and I think she saw me as the daughter she never had. We were really close and spent a lot of time together. Sarah would invite me over for tea, and we talked for hours about everything from cooking to books to life. Since David didn't let me hang out with my friends much, I ended up spending even more time with Sarah. She became my confidant, someone I could talk to about anything. But when David started changing after we got married, I didn't tell Sarah. I was scared that she wouldn't believe me or that it would ruin our relationship. Sarah always saw the good in David, and I didn't want to disappoint her. When I arrived at Sarah's doorstep, I was sobbing uncontrollably. Sarah opened the door and immediately pulled me into a hug. She could see how distressed I was and quickly ushered me inside. Emma, what's wrong? What happened? I'm so sorry for coming to you this way. Oh no, don't you dare apologize for coming to me. I'm glad you came here. Why don't you take a few deep breaths and then you can tell me why you're so upset. Please, don't be mad at me, but it's David. He's been so cruel to me. Ever since we got married, he's changed. He pressured me into getting pregnant even though I told him it was risky because of my lupus. Oh, Emma, why would I ever be mad at you? I'm so sorry. I knew something was off, but I had no idea it was this bad. Go on, tell everything. He forced me to get pregnant, and then during the pregnancy, he treated me so badly. He expected me to do all the housework, even when I was feeling terrible because, my lupus began flaring up, and when I miscarried, he blamed me for it. He said I failed as a woman and forced me to go back to work the very next day. What? How could he say that to you? That's unforgivable. I'm so angry right now. No one should treat you like that, especially not my son. I raised him to be a good and respectful human being. I know. And Sarah, I really tried so hard to make him happy. I did, I swear. But nothing I did was ever good enough. I know you tried hard. And if I'm being honest, you have no reason to try so hard. David was being a grade A jerk and was simply making your life harder to feel better about himself. I had no idea he was being this awful. You don't deserve any of this. Why didn't you tell me anything? I was scared you wouldn't believe me, or that it would ruin our relationship. Believe you? Of course I believe you. I'm furious with David for treating you this way. You're like a daughter to me. I would never doubt you. Thank you. I really didn't know where else to turn. You did the right thing by coming here. I'm going to make sure David pays for this. He can't treat you this way and get away with it. But what can we do? First, I'm going to evict him. He can't stay here after what he's done, and I'll make sure he knows that his behavior is completely unacceptable. I have no idea what I would do without you. Thank you so much for believing me. You've survived far too long without any help. Now, I'll take care of everything. I'll talk to my lawyer and make sure David gets what he deserves. He's not going to hurt you anymore. You have no idea how relieved I am to hear that. Your family, Emma. I'll always have your back. You can stay here with me as long as you need. We'll figure this out together. You're strong. You'll get through this, and I'll be here every step of the way. David needs to understand that his actions have consequences. I hope he does. I just want to move forward and heal from all of this. You will. You're not alone. We'll take it one day at a time, but for now, just rest. I'll handle David and make sure he can't hurt you anymore. Thank you, Sarah. I feel so much better knowing you're on my side. Always, Emma. Always. Sarah didn't waste any time. She immediately started making phone calls. First, she called her lawyer to draft an eviction notice for David, and after we got married, Sarah offered to let us live in her house at minimal rent because we needed a place to stay and we weren't doing so well financially. Sarah never bothered to increase our rent, so we really were living in that gorgeous house for next to nothing. Sarah did not want David to have the benefit of living there at all after what I told her. She made it clear that his behavior was unacceptable and that he wasn't welcome anymore. She had the notice made as soon as possible so I could go back home with it in my hands. When I got home that evening, I felt a mix of nerves and determination. I knew what I had to do, but it didn't make it any easier. I walked into the house and David was sitting on the couch watching TV. I took a deep breath and went over to him. David, we need to talk. What now? I had a long day. Can this wait? No, it can't. I need you to pack your bags. What are you talking about? I went to see Sarah today. I told her everything and she's evicting you. Here is the eviction notice. You need to be out by the end of the week. You'll get the divorce papers soon as well. You did what? You went crying to my mother? How dare you? Yes, I did. I told her how you've been treating me. She was appalled. She's on my side because she did not raise a pathetic loser who could not respect his wife. This is ridiculous. You're blowing everything out of proportion. You can't do this to me. All I did was ask you to get a job instead of moping. It's called distracting yourself. I'm not blowing anything out of proportion. You've been cruel and heartless. This is the consequence of your actions. You need to leave. And where am I supposed to go, huh? You think you can kick me out and I'll disappear? That's your problem now. You can't stay here. Sarah has made that clear. You're serious? She actually wrote an eviction notice? Yes, she did. You have until the end of the week to pack up and leave. Look, it's even notarized. This is insane. I'm your husband. You can't just throw me out like this. You stopped being my husband the moment you decided to treat me like I was worthless. I deserve better than this, and your mother agrees. You'll regret this. You think you're strong now, but you'll miss me. You'll see. No, I won't miss the way you made me feel. I won't miss the pain and the tears. I'm taking control of my life, and that means you have to go. This is unbelievable. After everything I've done for you, this is how you repay me? Everything you've done for me? You mean the constant criticism, the pressure, and the blame? I don't owe you anything, David. You need to leave. Fine, I'll go. But don't expect me to forgive you for this. You're making a huge mistake. The only mistake I made was staying with you for so long. Now please pack your things and leave. David stormed off to the bedroom, slamming the door behind him. I felt a sense of relief wash over me. For the first time in a long time, I felt a spark of hope. I knew it wouldn't be easy, but I was ready to start over. I was ready to heal and find happiness again. Thankfully, David moved out by the end of the month. He was crashing at a friend's place until he could find another apartment to rent out. But Sarah wasn't done with her revenge yet. The next thing Sarah did was call David's boss, who happened to be an old family friend. She explained the situation and asked if there was any way David could be demoted and transferred to a different location, far from where we lived. His boss agreed, understanding the severity of the situation. David would be sent to a less desirable position in a different city, making it harder for him to cause me any more pain. Sarah also arranged for a restraining order, ensuring that David couldn't come near me or contact me. She wanted to make sure I felt safe and protected. I couldn't believe how quickly she took action to help me. Finally, Sarah spoke to some of her friends in the community, asking them to keep an eye on me and support me during this difficult time. She wanted to make sure I had a strong network of people who cared about me. David's life started to fall apart. He was forced to move to a different city for a less desirable job position. It was a huge step down from what he was used to, and he struggled to adapt. Without the support of his mother and me, he realized just how alone he was. His friends turned away after Sarah told them about David's true colors, and he found himself isolated and unhappy. Meanwhile, I began the divorce proceedings. It was a difficult process, but I knew it was the right thing to do. David tried to fight it at first, but with Sarah's support and the restraining order in place, he didn't stand a chance. The court granted me the divorce, and David was left to deal with the aftermath. Losing his marriage, his home, and his job took a heavy toll on him. He was no longer the confident man he once was. Instead, he became bitter and angry. For me, life started to improve. Without David's negativity, I felt a huge weight lifted off my shoulders. I focused on my health, attending regular doctor's appointments and following my treatment plan. Slowly but surely, my lupus symptoms became more manageable. I found new hobbies that made me happy, like painting and gardening. Sarah continued to be a great support, and we grew even closer. I also reconnected with my old friends. They were understanding and supportive, happy to see me doing better. We started having girls' nights again, and I realized how much I had missed out on during my marriage. It felt amazing to laugh and have fun without any fear or guilt. With time, I became stronger and more independent. I learned to live without David's control and negativity. I focused on my career, working hard and finding joy in my accomplishments. Looking back, I realized that I have grown so much from the experience. Losing the baby was the most painful experience of my life. I felt empty and broken. I blamed myself, even though deep down I knew I had done everything I could. The physical pain was bad, but the emotional pain was worse. I faced one of the toughest challenges of my life and came out stronger. David's downfall was a result of his own actions, and honestly, it was well deserved. I couldn't let his choices ruin my life. Instead, I chose to move forward and build a better future for myself. I learned that I am capable, strong, and worthy of love and respect. My journey wasn't easy, but it led me to a place of peace and happiness. I'm grateful for the support of Sarah and my friends, and I'm excited about what the future holds. I know now that I can handle anything life throws at me, and that gives me hope and confidence for the years to come.